Be honest with yourself. Tell me exactly what is the biggest fear that you have when you're going to paint your miniatures. I'm about to bet here that you think that you're not good enough to get those toy soldiers on the table. And you're probably right, up to an extent. There is a problem with that type of philosophy. A huge one. Welcome back to Rush the Wash. My name is Miguel, and on this video I'm going to tell you the secret to actually get good at painting miniatures. And it has absolutely nothing to do with technique. So buckle up, brush liquor, because it's going to be a wild ride.
Greetings fellow painters, and welcome to another painting adventure at Rush the Wash. Today I want to take you on a journey that goes beyond the ordinary, a journey that is born out of burnout for teaching and experimentation. For you see, I've been painting miniatures for a while now, and I have painted several groups of those, and I was feeling a little burnout. I just wanted to have some fun with just one miniature, to really push myself and to experiment with new techniques. As I began teaching my wife to paint her first miniatures, which is an impending video in Rush the Wash, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel to don't miss out on that. I just wanted to see how I could push myself and experiment in order to see how she was feeling. Because, you know, it is very difficult for someone to start in the hobby, and you just forget about it after you have been painting for a while.
The good news is that nobody was born with a brush in their hands, and nobody has a default setting for being a genius painting miniatures.
The most difficult and damaging thing that we can do, and I really advise against this, is seeing the beautiful works of art that are on social media and believing that they are just the standard, which is not the case.
I know a lot of people who have a big fear of screwing up when they paint the miniatures. I mean, at the end of the day, they are expensive toys and you want to do them justice. But the fastest way to learn is nothing else but making all the mistakes as soon as possible. And one of the biggest issues that we have is that social media is showing us all these perfectly painted miniatures, and we believe that's the standard, which is not.
It can be discouraging to compare your skills to those of professional artists and to feel like you are not good enough.
That is akin to not exercising, because you know you're not gonna look like these guys over here in a week or two. But the sooner you start, the sooner you might start looking like that.
So, in this case, I wanted to challenge myself and get in touch with what my wife was feeling. What does this mean? I wanted to push beyond my comfort zone and experiment with new techniques while still keeping it real and approachable for those who are just starting out. I mean, I wanted to show that anyone can improve their skills with practice and experimentation, and that the journey of learning and growing is just as important as the destination itself.
Of course, there are caveats when you try to look as impressive as these people when they paint miniatures. But that's fine. At the end of the day, you have to make it your own hobby, and you have to try to do things the way you want them to be done.
So in order to do this, I just got a miniature that I had begun painting a long time ago. I had a series of videos where I wanted to paint Space Marines in 10 minutes, and those were quite fun to do, but I think that my scope in the channel is usually more about fantasy-oriented miniatures, and sometimes I just forget about projects for a while. But in this case, I thought that painting this Space Marine will be a great opportunity to show myself that I can finish it and I can do a better job than just spending 10 minutes on it.
For me in particular, I think that not painting the miniatures to this high standard is something that is productive. I try to paint whole sets of games and miniatures, and trying to do this is actually counterproductive for me. But it has a caveat, and I learned something. First of all, it's quite fun, and it makes it super interesting for me to do something that is not my usual thing. It gets me out of that comfort zone, and instead of being uncomfortable, I actually feel challenged, and that's a great way to focus on something new.
So, let's talk about the idea of painting as a quest for knowledge. In Warhammer lore, there are many characters who do embark on quests to seek knowledge. For example, the Grey Knights seek to uncover the secrets about demons in the warp, and the Skaven, who always are scheming and plotting to gain forbidden knowledge. They are probably one of the most curious races in that setting, because they don't care about the mistakes they might make when they try to uncover those secrets, and they go through technology and wizardry to make things explode. They don't care, and that's an outstanding way to face reality, unless you blow up, obviously. But there is not such a danger when we are trying to paint miniatures. So in this case, I just embraced that kind of curiosity, and I started thinking, how can I do this in a way that I usually don't do things?
On the other hand, it's a great palette cleanser. What does that mean? It simply means that I have the opportunity to do something absolutely different to what I'm usually doing, and that makes it interesting once again. I'm still painting miniatures, I'm still practicing my skills, and I'm still getting a little bit better every time by doing it, but it's different, and I'm not getting burned out.
NMM is probably the most difficult technique that I can actually try to master, and I thought that it would be a great way to try my luck on it. Painting is a battle. In Warhammer, battles are fought for many reasons, such as glory, honor, or just survival. And we as artists, and make no mistake, people who paint miniatures are artists, we can use this metaphor as something that we want to do in order to master our craft, battling against the grey tide that is waiting for us in those cabinets. As a space marine who battles against the enemies of the Imperium, always seeking to improve his skills and become a better warrior, we artists must embrace the struggle, the challenge, and then the sweet victory that comes with painting.
This is going to sound a little bit corny, but it's a universal truth, and it happens on every single skill that we try to learn. You are not competing against everybody else, you're just competing against yourself.
Another thing that came to my mind is thinking about painting as a journey through the warp. I mean, if you don't know what the warp is, it's very simple. In Warhammer 40k, warp is a dimension made of chaos and madness, but it's also a source of power and inspiration. Similarly, painting can be a journey through the warp, where we can confront our fears, our doubts, and our creative blocks, which, after you paint for a while, there are many. But if you tap into the flow of our own imagination, use this as a source of inspiration and creativity, we can use everything to our own advantage.
So if you're going to end up being this much better than yesterday, it's a net gain already.
We walk the path of the warp and we seek to unlock the secrets of the future. The future is a cabinet full of painted miniatures.
I have a favor to ask of you. The algorithm is super nasty with Rush Wash, and I know you're liking this video, so click on that button below and tell me that you do. And even better, you can subscribe to the channel, becoming a member like these awesome people over here, or clicking on the super thanks button and buying me a coffee or a beer. Gracias, let's get back to it.
There is another thing that is quite upsetting when you're painting. Sometimes you are not a noob and you are not a pro. I'm very good at certain things, not that good at these things. And that's quite frustrating, but also it's pushing me to the limits of what I can do. I need to get to the point where I'm happy with this and trying my best to do it.
Am I gonna be painting like this all the time? No, absolutely not. I have too many miniatures to spend 20 hours or so painting a single one of them. Is it something that I'm going to be doing in the future? Definitely yes. Every time that I try to do something new, like using an airbrush or trying NMM, I'm learning new skills that I can apply to certain things that I already have done a million times.
Every time we paint a miniature, there is a phase that I call the blah phase. And the blah phase is where it's almost there, but not quite yet. And recognizing this phase, it's very challenging for new painters. For myself, I know when this happens and I can push through it. But for people who are starting, it is quite daunting. I see it all the time on forums where people say, I don't know where to take this miniature from here onwards. I always say this, keep pushing. Yes, keep pushing. Try your best and you will be alright. Even if the miniature doesn't get to the standards that you want it to be, you will do a great job, and every lesson that you learn is going to pay in full in the next miniature that you're going to paint.
So what do I want you to leave with from this video? First of all, I want you to feel that you are good enough to start painting miniatures. Stop looking at all those professionals out there and freaking out by seeing that they are doing amazing things with the brushes.
Even if it's not perfect, I'm going to be happy about it, and I'm going to learn a lot of lessons that eventually they're gonna pay off both for myself and for you guys when I paint in the channel and show you some of my new tricks.
What better way to practice than watching this video next? My name is Miguel, this has been Rush the Wash, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Un beso. Adiós.